What's going on, everybody? Devil's Advocate here. I've been a little bit busy, so I haven't really had an opportunity to start using my video setup like I usually do. So I've been kind of like doing these really short, almost just mainly audio driven based videos. So but I want to give my perspective on this whole Facebook whistleblower scandal ordeal. It took a little while for me to settle down into what do I think is happening. And is it because I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist? Sure, say that. I don't care. But the more I listen to the testimony of this lady, this whistleblower that worked for Facebook, the more questions I start having. So, in her testimony, she referred to January 6th as an insurrection, right? So I'm like, okay. So, well, I know everybody, usually the people who refer to January 6th as an actual insurrection, you could pretty much narrow down their political perspective / ideology or whatever you want to say it is. And she comes into this hearing to pretty much throw Facebook under the bus. She wants to throw Facebook under the bus for, not looking out for the best interest of children, targeting children with their algorithms, and pretty much putting profit of the company. So, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, putting the profit of the company above the needs and the safety of the children or of its users. Let's just put it that way. And on the surface, when you start bringing up the children, you're like, you're right about the children, this is a bipartisan issue, right? Democrats and Republicans alike, we got to protect the children at all costs. And then they started spiraling down into this oversight. Like, she started saying that there should be some type of government oversight committee that regulates, the content that's available for people or for children to see on Facebook and social media, stuff like that. And it shouldn't be AI algorithm driven. It should be people driven. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, knowing how these things go, like, it's funny that even me knowing what I know and having the position that I have where I know that, things always seem to have an angle to them. And you just got to figure out what that angle is. And I was like, even me listening to this, I was like, oh, Facebook, you in trouble for like screwing over little kids and stuff, because, they got me on that because I know they're guilty of it. But I was like, wait, not so fast. Because this is another Trojan horse. When she started going down the rabbit hole of saying that Facebook needs to have a government oversight committee, I'm like, wait. So it's kind of like the whole bait and switch. They will, selling something to you under the guise that it's good for you and it's in your best interest to get your support, only to flip the script on you. And you, hindsight being 2020, it was nothing but a ploy to advance power and control. So I'm thinking the Democratic Party is pretty much in control of everything right now. And what would stop them at this point, right? We already know that conservative views is heavily censored on social media as it is already. And Facebook tries to stay out of it as much as possible. Yeah, when Donald Trump was in office, yeah, they shut him down left and right and center. But in general, conservatives, people, regular people, they can still kind of talk amongst themselves and express their views and opinions. You can do the same thing on Twitter. And they don't do too much. They might flag it. They might be like, oh, misinformation, but they don't just censor it's censorship, but they don't just straight block it out, right? I'm like, what are the odds that this would come up right now? This would be the opportunity for the Democratic Party to form some type of oversight committee, right, that would literally shut down conservative free speech, period. Like, and I know anybody listening to this might think this is a far stretch and like, oh no, that would never happen. You better be careful, because we've seen what the whole that'll never happen mentality has gotten us so far. Because all they will say is that it's extremism and hate speech. And then they will use that as their grounds to muffle conservative voices. They're already doing it right now at the school board meetings. Parents are furious about finding out that their schools are teaching critical race theory. These parents show up to these school board meetings. They get very passionate about their discontent with what's going on. And what does the school board do? They write a letter, and they send a letter to Joe Biden. And then next thing you know, these parents are investigated by the FBI or government officials as being domestic extremists for challenging the idea that critical race theory is being taught in the schools and the parents don't like it. The school board gets to send a letter to the president and have government officials hassle and haggle the parents of these children and label them as domestic extremists. That's where we are right now. Think about how many more chess moves would have to that have to be moved on a chessboard before we could legitimately say we are squarely tracking down the pathway to total socialism. Think about that for a second. And I think that this is another Trojan horse. It's disguised as a noble gesture to try to bring light to a bad situation. But the party that is in control of all three branches of the government right now, well, let's not go that far. But they're pretty, the Democratic Party is in control. Let's just say that. Would not seize this as an opportunity to advance their agenda even further. They did it with COVID. They did it with the border crisis. Everything that you think is a catastrophic failure is an actual strategic move in order to advance a certain agenda. So just think about that. No, do I think that there are some things that Facebook needs to be held accountable for? Yes. No, they shouldn't have this free reign where they can just, harvest people's data and stuff like that and sell people's personal data, and nobody knows what their algorithms are, and everything is like very obscure. Nobody has any real, information or real like data on how they target people. Yes, all that stuff needs to be addressed. And I was on board with all that until she started saying that there needs to be some type of governmental oversight committee over that. Because where does it end at that point? You're going to just keep extending big government reach and control over stuff? Where does it stop? It doesn't stop. So she is I don't know if she's a whistleblower or if she's a plant. Or, somebody who was hired by Facebook and then, some type of sleeper cell is like, hey, look, when the time comes, you will be activated. Or if she's a genuine whistleblower and due to who's mainly in control now and what her personal ideologies are, like I said, I think it's safe to assume what her ideologies are, that those two things align and they're just kind of complementing each other. And it's kind of just, spelling out this recipe for it looks good on the surface, but in actual execution would be a complete total disaster for freedom of speech in general. All right. That's all I have to say about this. If you like this video, please like, share, subscribe. Stay safe, use your brain, be smart. And until next time, peace.